Hi. The keto diet has become very popular, especially over the past few years. But there's something about the keto diet which you need to know, which you need to consider before you undertake this diet. I'm Dr. Douglas Street. I'm a medical doctor, and I'm going to share with you the keto diet's dark secret. But before we go into what that secret is, let's have a general discussion with you about what the keto diet is, the benefits, and how it can be used. Now, the keto diet is short for ketogenic diet. And what that means is that this diet generates ketones inside our bodies. Now, the keto diet is also called a low carb diet because usually with the keto diet, you don't have more than about 20 to 50 grams of carbohydrates per day. And this is why you have this production of ketones in your body as a result, because you're not really getting as much carbohydrates as you normally do, so the body starts to generate ketones. It is a high fat diet because most of your calories actually come from fat, not so much not the carbohydrates as what normally happens. But fat is a high density energy source, so you don't need as much in terms of the quantity of fat to produce as much energy as what carbohydrates produce, which is a more bulky nutrient. You do get some of the calories from proteins, but it's not any more than you normally would. As you can see, you get 15 to 20% of the calories from proteins, but that is what normally happens in any regular diet anyway. And it utilizes whole nutrient-dense foods, and so you want to really use the whole foods rather than the processed foods. And of course, it's important because you're going to be missing out on certain nutrients in this diet, so you really want to make sure that you get the whole foods so that you don't miss out on the benefits of that as well. So you don't want to be using even processed meats in this diet because, of course, that's not really a whole food. Now, how does this diet work? Now, first of all, let me just explain to you that this is not a normal diet. In a normal diet, glucose is the primary energy source, and the body is actually programmed to use glucose as a primary energy source, and this is especially so for the brain. So it's not a normal diet at all. It's a type of fasting, you could say, and if you look at what happens with the keto diet, it's what happens in a person who is fasting. So first of all, you have the glycogen stores being used up, and then your body starts to use proteins and fat as a source of energy, but this is usually from your body itself. So energy is stored in your muscles and in the fat, and usually that is what happens when you're not eating. So but in this ketogenic diet, what happens is that the fats and proteins are going to be coming from your diet itself. So there's already a mechanism inside the body to utilize these as a source of energy. And ketones are normally produced as a result, because when your body breaks down the fat especially, it produces ketones as a result. Now, of course, hopefully it does not become excessive, because especially in a person who is diabetic, for example, you can go into ketoacidosis, so you have to really be careful that does not happen. Now, what are some of the benefits of this diet? Now, one of the things that you normally see is a dramatic weight loss, especially in that first week. And especially for persons who are trying to lose weight, this is very beneficial. You lose between 4 to 10 pounds in the first week, and then you may continue to lose weight even over a 6 to 12-month period. And the good thing about this is that you tend not to lose that lean body mass. So you don't really lose much mass from your bones or from your muscles, because you're actually giving your body protein, so you're not going to be losing that. And normally with most diets that bring about weight loss, you do lose some muscles and fat, and this is not necessarily a bad thing, because when you have on excess weight, you need extra muscles to carry that weight. So if you lose some protein, if you lose some muscles when you lose weight, it's not necessarily a bad thing anyway. Some other benefits include improved blood sugar and blood pressure control. Now, one of the reasons why you see an improvement in your blood sugar is because this is a low carb diet, and as you know, glucose comes from carbohydrates primarily. So if you're not getting much carbohydrates in your diet, then you're not going to be having much blood sugar in your system. You also will see an improvement in your blood pressure control as well, and we'll explain to you why that is as we go along with this discussion. You also see a reduction in the inflammation, and because of this, there is a lot of the positive effects that it has on many diseases. So you see that it can be used to treat diabetes, it can be used to treat high blood pressure, it can be used to treat Alzheimer's and even epilepsy. And as a matter of fact, this diet is not a new diet at all. It's about 100 years old now, and it started out being used for epilepsy, because they find that when you put persons on this diet, it can actually help with epilepsy, especially those persons who not respond to medications. And persons with Alzheimer's, if they go on this diet, you can actually see an improvement in the symptoms. And if you have mild to moderate Alzheimer's, you may even see a reversal of the condition. So it can be very beneficial. And of course, it can help you to go into diabetes remission because of the reduction in the supply of glucose and also in inflammation. As you know, inflammation is the driver of most chronic diseases, including diabetes. So when you can get the inflammation down, then you can see a remission of diabetes. You also may see increased energy and enhanced mental clarity as well. So what are the foods that are allowed for the ketogenic diet? Meats, of course. So any kind of meat, your red meats, your white meats. Eggs are also allowed in this diet. Fats are a primary source of energy. As I said, coconut is a good source of fat. Avocado, and you have the different oils as well. Butter also is a good source of fat. And nuts and seeds, these are also good sources of fat and also proteins. And these are a very important part of the ketogenic diet. You have almonds, you have walnuts, chia seeds, and flax seeds. These should be used in the ketogenic diet. And you also can include low-carb fruits such as berries, tomatoes, and certain citrus. These citrus include your grapefruit, your lemons, and your limes. These can be used because these have a low content of sugar. You also can use dairy foods, and this includes especially full-fat yogurt, because I said fat is a primary source of calories, so you don't want to be using the low-fat yogurt. Cheese is also allowed, and whole milk. And you also may have non-starchy vegetables like lettuce, cabbage, kale, broccoli, and carrots in moderation, because as you know, carrot does contain some amount of sugar, so you have to be careful with the amount of carrots that you have. Don't have too much, because it may actually lose the benefit of the ketosis as a result of that. So what are the foods that are not allowed? Of course, sugar foods and cakes, because these are high in carbohydrates. Also, you don't want to be having grains as well. Even whole grains are not allowed. So bread, pasta, rice, cereal, corn, even yams and so on, those are not included in this diet. Legumes also contain some carbohydrates, so this is not usually a part of the diet. So even peanuts, because peanuts is actually a legume, it's not really a nut per se, even though it's called peanut. Lentils, all these are not allowed in this diet. Starchy vegetables like Irish potato, sweet potato, peas, and pumpkin, these are of course starchy foods, so these are not allowed in this diet. And of course, the high carb fruits like bananas, apples, oranges, and pineapples, these are also excluded from this diet. Not that there's anything wrong with these foods, but because of the kind of diet that you're having, these are not allowed. So what are some of the concerns with the ketogenic diet? And this is where the dark secret of the keto diet really lies. First of all, there are possible side effects from this diet. Well, these side effects include what we call the keto flu. And the keto flu brings with it things like fatigue, headache, brain fog, nausea, insomnia, and muscle cramps. And if you notice very carefully, if you look at most of these side effects, they are really because of the effect it has on your brain. The brain uses primarily glucose as a source of energy. So during the time when there is this transition, which may take a week or so, or a few days, then you may have a little bit of a problem with that transition phase as your body switches over to using ketones as a source of energy rather than glucose. So you may have these effects when you start on the keto diet, and this usually lasts, as I said, about 1 to 2 weeks. Then you may have constipation, and of course you can understand why that is. There are less fiber in this diet because you don't get the benefit of having the whole grains in this diet, so you may have some constipation as a result of that. And what usually happens with this diet is that you may start to pass more urine, and with this urine you are losing water and you're also losing salts. And this is one of the reasons why your blood pressure comes down. And your blood pressure comes down usually pretty quickly, like within the first week or so, you may get to a normal blood pressure, even if you have hypertension, right? But the problem is, because you're losing electrolytes, you may become depleted of fluids and also electrolytes. So you have to make sure that you replace those losses so that you don't lose too much of the fluid and electrolytes, causing you to become dehydrated with an electrolyte imbalance. Another concern with it is that the sustainability of it, because this is not, as I said, a normal diet. You may have challenges finding this type of food if you should go out to eat. For example, if you're somebody that buys lunch out, then you may have a challenge finding this kind of diet, because this is not a typical diet that you would have. So the sustainability of it may be a problem, and also you're missing out on a lot of the things that you normally have, and some person may not really like that very much. And what happens a lot of times is that when persons are not really in that supportive environment to allow them to continue on this diet, they tend to fall off. So oftentimes persons have to be part of a group, or they may need some coaching in order to keep them maintained on this diet, because it may be difficult for them to maintain. The other thing is that it may not really have a lowering effect on your cholesterol, but they do usually notice an improvement in the cholesterol profile. But in terms of the total, that does not usually come down. So if you have high cholesterol, it may not really help you to bring your cholesterol down. And it may also cause you to have bad breath. But the major concern I have with this diet is this. The keto diet has been shown by research that it may reduce your life expectancy. And this, I think, is very significant, right? Now, just imagine you are trying to improve your health by going on this diet, but this diet is going to cause you to lose some time from your life expectancy. So it may not really add up very much in terms of your health. Now, does this mean that this should not be used? No, I wouldn't say that. But I would want to look at the ketogenic diet as a therapeutic diet. It can be used to bring about certain results. Let us say that you're a diabetic, or you're hypertensive, or you're overweight. You can use it to get yourself to the goal that you want. So if you want to lose weight, you get yourself down to the weight that you want on this diet, and then you switch over to another diet which does not have this concern. And there are several other diets that you can use. There's a whole food plant-based diet. There's a low-calorie diet as well. There's also intermittent fasting. So you do have other options that you can use that do not have this particular concern. As a matter of fact, those other diets have actually been shown to improve on your life expectancy. So you can use those long-term, and you would not have that to really worry about. So let's look at some of the types of keto diet. There is a vegan keto diet. Now these are variants of the keto diet. So we discuss mainly the standard type. These are some subsets of the keto diet. There's a plant-based one. So as I said, generally speaking, with this diet, you have meat in this diet, but you can have the vegan variation where you don't really have any meats. So it's a plant-based diet, and you get the proteins from tofu, from tempeh, nuts and seeds, and you can also have vegan protein powders. And this may be powders that are extracted from legumes like soya bean or other types of beans and peas. You can get the proteins from it, but without the actual whole bean, and so that you won't get the starch associated with it. Some of the challenges with this diet is that you may miss out on the zinc. Of course, a vegan diet does not usually supply B12, so that may be a challenge. You may have some challenges with omega-3 deficiency because you're not really having the fish, which may provide the omega-3. So you may need to ensure that you're getting enough flaxseed or chia seed in this diet to compensate for that. There's also the social issues associated. You may have challenges accessing this kind of diet, especially if you're going to be eating out. The keto diet is already a very restricted diet, so adding a further restriction may cause even further problems with maintaining this diet. Another variation is the targeted keto diet, and this may be useful for athletes, strength trainers, etc. And in this diet, generally what you do is that you use the regular keto diet for maybe 5 to 6 days. But on those days that you're doing, especially intense workout, you do some carb loading around the time of your exercise. So you have maybe 50 to 100 grams of carbohydrates before and after your workout. And this may mean having a banana before and having a protein shake afterwards. And the benefits include you have increased fat loss, mental clarity, and muscle recovery. You also have the cyclical keto diet, and this is somewhat similar to the targeted keto diet. So you do the 5 to 6 days of the regular keto diet as usual, but on 1 to 2 days of the week, you have between 50 to 200 grams of carbohydrates. And this may mean having a regular diet on those days. And it doesn't necessarily have to be around the time of exercise, but just throughout the day, you have a regular diet to do some carb loading. And the benefits include less side effects. So those side effects that we spoke about earlier, you're less likely to have them if you use this particular approach. You have better performance as well, that's physical performance, and your mental clarity may improve, and also your muscle recovery. Because remember, we mentioned that usually during the first week or so of the standard keto diet, you may have some brain fog. So when you use this approach, that may be reduced. And then you have the carnivore diet. Now with this diet, you don't have anything that is plant-based at all. So it's just meat. So it's like the opposite of the vegan keto diet. So no plants rather whatsoever. So it's just meat alone. So you may be having just chicken, let us say a half a chicken, and that's the meal. Or you may have beef alone, and that's it. No vegetables, no nuts, no vegetables either, nothing at all from plants. And you may think that this is an extreme diet, and yes, may argue that it is, but it has been shown to have some benefits. For example, you may see some improvement in autoimmune conditions. So it may have some benefits there, but they do have concerns as well. You may lack nutrients because, of course, plants provide some very important nutrients such as vitamins and minerals. So you may miss out on that if you're on this diet. You may also have a high amount of saturated fat in this diet because, of course, animal-based fat is usually saturated fat. Because of the high amount of proteins that you're getting, it may put some strain on the kidneys as well. And there may be some social challenges with this because this is not a normal diet, as I said. You may have to really, if you should go out, you explain what it is exactly that you want. You just want a half a chicken, nothing else. Of course, this is not a normal diet. Or you may have those fish. You may have just fish and that's it. Now, even though it has been shown to have benefits, there's limited research, especially on the long-term effects that it may have on you. So you have to make sure that you keep that in mind. I've said there are other diets which have a more research done and more long-term benefits demonstrated. So again, I would not recommend a long-term use of this diet. You may use it for short-term to achieve your goal, and then you switch over to a diet that is more sustainable. As we close, we're going to look at Psalms 103, verse 2 and 3. And it says, "Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgives all your iniquities, who heals all your diseases." Now, we just want to highlight the fact that, you may be using this diet to achieve a particular goal in terms of healing. And of course, God gave us the knowledge to be aware of the different diets that may be used and the different benefits. But we want to just highlight to you that God does not just bring healing to your bodies, but He also brings healing to your soul. He wants to forgive your iniquities. He wants to heal all your diseases. So He brings to you physical and spiritual healing. Now, that healing really speaks to our desire for sin. God wants to remove that tendency that you have for sin, and that is the work of a lifetime. But He wants to give that to you. He wants you to participate in that process to help other persons to go through that same process as well. So the Lord is who really brings to us complete healing of body, soul, and mind. So I want to thank you very much for watching this video. And if you want any more information on diabetes remission, you can just click the link in the comments or in the description, and you can get more information on diabetes remission. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.